All right, well, g'day there. Richard Musgrave-Evans here again, and welcome back. Now today, I'm in the main part of the gallery, but the actual subject is in the studio, and it's in a different lighting. And the reason I'm in two different rooms with the subject as opposed to where I'm painting is because I need bright light to paint here, but I just want one downward light in there. Now it should be pretty exciting stuff. There's a lot of work to be done. It's a beautiful rustic subject. Can't wait to get started. Let's get into it. Alizarin crimson, phthalo blue, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, titanium white. Now that should be enough colours for the main block in, or pretty much the whole painting. I could get the whole painting done with just those colours. I may get an extra little one here and there if I feel like I want to get some sort of highlight or accent, but that will definitely get the bulk of the colours. Rightio, let's go. All right, well, I've just done a quick sketch. I didn't want to bore you with all that, so I just quickly thrashed it all in. Now we're ready to get stuck into the paint. Big knife, let's get into it. It's going to be the darks first, and then we'll work from there. All right, now I'll make a nice dark with some phthalo blue and burnt sienna. That's a pretty good neutral dark. Maybe a little bit of alizarin crimson red along with that. Now, I'm just going to start blocking in. Now, this is one of the biggest darks in here. I might go a little bit more red than that. Just block that in. I'm just going to feel my way. So just thrash that in there. Just going for quick shapes. We'll start working on all the different tonal values soon, but at the moment, I just want to feel the shape. So hang on. Boots are going to be basically there like that. Hat's got a bit of a shadow there, more burnt sienna, more phthalo blue. Right, now that's that. I'll go like that, up about there. This is the dry as a bone jacket that's lying across the table, just blocking that in. I'll just put a bit of linear stuff like that so I can actually see it. Now the tonal value itself, which is a lot of people call it value, you can call it value or tonal value, that's where it is relation to black to white on the scale. So you've got your colour, but your colour also is somewhere in that white here, we'll say white's here and black's there, your colour is always somewhere in that scale. It's either up near the white, in the middle, or it's in the black area. Every colour will have a tonal value, and that is what's actually going to give it the feeling of realism more than the actual colour. So you can get away with a painting that's got the wrong colours, so long as it's got the right values, it will look like reality. So that is the number one thing for giving the illusion of realism. And at the moment, I'm just blocking all the big stuff in very, very broadly, and then I'll get stuck into those values, putting those values in at the right pitch so they convincingly sit correctly in your eye and convince your eye that you're looking at the real world. Something like that. There's a nice little stool. I've got this wooden bench sitting on a stool here like that, so that's a nice little touch. More burnt sienna. A little scoof along here. Scoof that along there, that's it. A bit more. Right, so it's just getting the feeling of the shape so you can see them. I can already see them a little because I've got a light drawing, but I'm making it easier for you guys to see them. There's the edge of the hat. And up here we've got the edge of a window sitting up there. Like so. So that's pretty much the right shapes. Now the book will come in here. We've already got the right basic structure. Now that is not going to change much. Hang on, we'll just go a little bit more of phthalo blue and burnt sienna just here to establish the bottom of the coat. Now that basic shape and structure is not actually going to change that much from start to finish now. We've got the basic things in, and now we'll get the tonal values on top. And we'll go for the biggest difference first. Instead of finishing everything off in different little spots, we'll start blocking in major tonal values. And some of that, like putting that big wall in there, the shadows in here, is really going to start getting the whole canvas covered, which will mean that you can judge the tonal values a lot easier. Because the best thing to do is to get rid of all that white. Once you've got rid of the white, you can judge all the different values. And once you've got them correct, start reeling them in. Okay. Okay, let's start blocking in. Yeah, we'll do that wall, I reckon, first. So we'll go for some burnt sienna, phthalo blue, yellow ochre, titanium white. Mixing up a real brew here. Now that's way too green, so I might actually go for some red, which is opposite on the colour wheel. To see, the phthalo blue is a very strong colour and it tends to be dominant, so I'm going to need red to neutralise that. If I was using some other blue, I wouldn't need such a strong amount of red to neutralise it. It's quite dark. Let me just think now. I'll make it fairly dark and then I'll lighten it if I need to. That's probably the best thing to do. I can see with the knife, it's great for getting a lot on at once. I can get like the finished layer on. Instead of painting in layers, I prefer to get it all on straight away and then move it around till it's convincingly real. Just get those edges nice and neat. Come right down to there. Top of that'll be about there. A bit more burnt sienna in the mix. Yellow ochre. And white. Just trying to lighten her up a little. It's going on well. I want to get these edges lovely, so you can choose to have it framed or not framed when it's finished. Get those edges all good. It's all stretched, so it doesn't have to be framed. Go down here. Oh, she's a bit wobbly there. What's going on there? Okay, off to the edges. That's going on nicely. Like I said, get that covered. Where's that hat? That hat will sit. There, like that. I can get more exacting with the shapes and everything later on. We just basically get her all in first and work it out. Get enough paint on. Yeah, see a tiny bit of that phthalo and all of a sudden it's gone from slightly red dominant to way blue-green. So yeah, like I said, be very careful with that stuff. In some ways, using a different sort of blue might be easier, or a weaker blue. Any blue, like cobalt, any sort of fairly neutral blue will give you a good range of things. Burnt sienna and yellow ochre. Burnt sienna and yellow ochre. I have to get more burnt sienna out. And then we'll run across there. Going on nicely. Look at that. Trowel it on. Yep, trowel her on. Beautiful. Lock it in. Let the edges go. Good draftsmanship. There's a good tip. good draftsmanship, but let the edges go, let it float and fluff around in the background if it's not important. Don't make the edges razor hard. Let it float around and just drift around in the picture, and only define the areas as you're finishing off where you really want to draw the eye, really pull the edges up in those areas. I'm just doing the shadow on there on the hat. Just block that around there. Slightly lighter value with a bit more white. I don't want it too pink. Okay. Now we're just feeling away, nothing's too set in concrete, as I've said in other videos, just basically feeling the way at the moment. A bit more shadow in here for the bit of a sweat stain in the middle there. Burnt sienna, phthalo blue, alizarin crimson, trying to get a bit of a darker value going here for this shadow on the hat just there. Right. Pull that down and into it. Pull that down and into it. Up like that. Just feeling our way. Alright, get more of the white blocked in. Going to go for this beautiful oilskin Dryzabone. Burnt sienna, phthalo blue, bit of white to lighten that value. A bit more burnt sienna to get, and red to get rid of that green from that crazy phthalo. Let me just have a look. Pretty dark value, but it can be slightly lighter than that, the black and white scale we're talking about. It's ever so slightly light, that's about it. Yeah. A little bit darker in other areas. Getting rid of the white will make a big difference to the illusion of realism. That's real chunky style we're doing here. A bit more yellow ochre because the light source from above, really like those Dryzabones or oilskins. It's called Dryzabone here because that's a brand name, but really they're an oilskin coat. There. There's a bit of an old hat sitting here on the corner too, so I'm just got that in the picture. It's not too important, just sit it over there like that. And then this tin, old tin in the background, is a fairly neutral colour. So I've mixed a lot of the blues and everything together to get almost a grey. It's a very similar colour to the background, but slightly different. So we'll just add a bit of red to that like I did. Got some reflected light coming up in here though from the bench. I'll just put that in. Alright, I've just introduced a couple of CAD colours because I'm going to get stuck into that bench in a minute, and I need that higher key to get a higher value. But for now I'm going to go for a few more darks. So I'll go for the alizarin crimson, phthalo blue. Just going to pick that boot edge out a bit more where I want it. Like that. A bit more burnt sienna with that. So we'll just put all that in right now. I'll have the biggest accents around the boots. There's a bit of darkness here on the boot. Just feeling in the structure. there. Well, that's good. So now I know that when I put these lighter values on the bench, I know where to put them because I've just re-established some of these darker areas. Yeah, it'll be there. The base of that will be there. All right. There's always so much to do in a big painting, and it's just a little bit. I'll bring the book across a little bit further. The shadow of the book's just there, and then this will come down like that. This has actually gotten a little skew-iff here. Just draw the darks in where they should be, somewhere along there. Okay, now go for the big knife. More burnt sienna. That's the shadow of the bench, of course. And that's the darker values in the background. So you get over here, they become very similar. Right, now what we're going to do is, like I said, get into these light values here. It's going to peak there, it'll key off there a little. We'll use some white, of course. We've already got a bit of dirt on the knife, that won't matter. We can make that a lower key area. Yellow ochre, burnt sienna, white. Let's see what I've got. Just over here. Could probably be somewhere in that sort of tonal value, which is not the most white in the world and not the most dark either. Now it's getting a little bit of the green mixed in from the shadows there. That won't matter because this is the keyed off area here. So it doesn't matter that it's getting a little bit of other colours mixing with it at the moment, because this is where the peak's going to be, and then it starts to draw away again from the most intense colours into a more of a low key area. Yellow ochre and burnt sienna. I'm not using those strong cad colours yet. Save them for the peak. Wobble that in. Oop, getting a bit too dark there. Put that down there. Yellow ochre. Quite a low key here, but that's alright because that's also not the focal area either. Yellow ochre and white. Just lightening the value ever so slightly now. Got to get rid of that. There's that black's really coming through there, and we don't want that because that is going to be a fairly light area there because that's important. Okay. Alright, let's get some of these lighter tones. Clean knife, some pure white, some cad colours and some yellow ochre, so that's a higher key. Cad yellow, that's a real high key. Cad yellow and yellow ochre and white. That's quite bright. A bit more yellow ochre with it. Slightly less white. Actually, it could go slightly even warmer, so I'll go some orange. Cad orange and yellow ochre. Because we've got a lot of cool colours, so I want some warm to really contrast it. yellow ochre and white. Trying not to touch those blacks at the moment, or those dark values that I've made look like black, because that'll just send it completely off the wrong way. It'll make all these real high key beautiful colours go all of a sudden dead, and we don't want that. I'll blend them together in a minute. Okay, let me have a look at that. Thinking I might want to, just got to work out exactly where these boots are going. You don't want to put a colour in the wrong spot, because when you're dealing wet on wet, this paint is going to be completed wet on wet. When you're dealing with wet on wet, you do not want to have big dark patches that you're trying to cover with a light value, because it's hard to, you can do it, but it's just making it very hard for yourself. So just generalise your way, feel your way. For example, here, let's have a look. Wipe that knife. Now I've wiped that knife clean. This is a good example. I've got a little bit of the dark here that got mixed up with it. So trying to get rid of that is not as easy, but I'll still do it. And because it's not the absolute focal area, yellow ochre, cat orange, because it's not the absolute focal area, it won't matter, it's a little bit keyed back. It's actually good that it's keyed back. Take a bit of paint off there, we go. Worked out all right. A little bit lighter there. Alright. Now I haven't gone too much near the boots yet, because I've been trying to work out where the boots are going to go. The boots are kind of the last thing, they're just sort of everything's coming in around them. Once I've got it pretty much right, then I can put the boots in. I can feel at the moment. That's good. Now, these middle tone browns. Just softening that shadow there a little. Alright, it must be just about time to start putting some colour on those boots, I reckon. Just got some lighter value browns and greens again, sort of khaki colours. I'm going to pick out the edge of the drive bone here. There's a little flap that goes there that's hanging out. I'll put that in because that's nice. And let's get the colour of the top of the book while we're at it. It's a high key colour, so it's white. It's got a lot of pink in it, so we'll go the alizarin crimson. High key pink. Just feel our way in there. That's the edge of the spine. There's a little bit going there. Now, lighten that off again. Just want a fairly light neutral colour. What do we got? Sort of a pale greyish, but very light. So it's a grey kind of tone. Sorry, it's a greyish colour, but this time instead of being in the dark values, it's in a very light value. So we need a lot more white. Just there like that, that's it. Wobble that in there. Piece of paper towel. Just pull in a little bit of the reflected light so we can see it a little better. Reflected light coming up there. Just pick out the edges. Quite a light value through here to help draw the eyes into this part of the painting. More of that seems to be working well. Loosen the edges, let go of edges, don't be afraid to let go of edges if they're not the most important thing in the world. It's all to do with leading your eyes to the area you want to be led to. Move that around, some nice little marks. Get it rolling up there. A little bit there. And there. And we'll run down to there. Alright, now you can see everything I'm putting in is not absolutely locked in. It's kind of generalised and it's fluffy and it's all over, like the edges are kind of... And like I said, I'm doing that on purpose, just feeling my way in, and then when I want to refine, I'll refine the right areas. And a lot of areas then you'll find out are quite nice, left fluffy. So leave the painting as soft and neutral as you can for quite a long time, and then you can really get room for the accents, and then you work out after that what other edges you need to pull up out of that softness. Might be one here or a bit of one there, whatever else. When you stand back, you'll analyse and go, right, that needs to be pulled up, that one can stay played down, etc, etc. Anyway, let's just get a bit of pure white. Stick some whites on there. A white plane there. Just here, some of the mixture will just lighten that a little. Grab some more whites. Pure white up there. Bit of a white for the bend there. Just feeling the character of those boots. Feeling it in. Now I notice there's a bit of cool light coming in from the window. A little bit of phthalo blue. Just on the edge here. It's quite cool. Let's just have a look what I got, eh? Alright, things are starting to come along. Let's get a few darks. That there. One out there. What have we got here? Pull that through, bring it down like that. Just here is kind of soft. The edge of the boot, just here. The heel of the boot. A little light bouncing in there. The edge of that out. There's the top of that boot. That rolls down there. Right, well a lot of it's already there. Now it needs refinement, it needs areas pulled up. Bring up some finish here, a bit more accents on the books, bring the colours in, pull a bit into the hat, lift it out. There'll be a few things going around like that and I'll work it out as I'm going. But on the whole, I feel like it's coming together well, so alright, let's keep on going. Just have a little bit of that, which is quite a high key. I'll just get some white in that, which is a cat orange. Just lighten it through here. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll pick out a little bit of this book with some, I've got some cad red, beautiful bright cad red that I've stuck on now. Just add a little bit of that to get a real sting here and there. There's some on the book itself, dancing around like that. And that will just really start to make it pop. Make it jump out. They're very subtle, the boots, like absolutely subtle. It's almost like painting a portrait. Like you've got to get the things in the right spot, otherwise they completely lose their shape. Boots can be amazing like that. Knife on edge. Draw that highlight there. Bit of yellow ochre and white. We've got that one there. Okay. Put that one in. Little one on there. A bit more of a clean yellow ochre and white. A little bit of writing up on top. Just pick out a little bit here and there. On the edge where the light is striking, just picking up tiny bits of light. All right, well, things are absolutely coming along beautifully. Now there's something I've just added into the subject itself down there. I've decided that the picture's flowing through nicely this way, but I want to put something here on the wall. So what I've gone and done is I've sticky taped a bit of paper onto the wall, and that's just adding to a secondary subject up here. So you come flowing into the boots, obviously, like this. And then as you drift off through the rest of the picture, there's going to be a little bit of interest there to lead you up and give you a nice kind of shape and pattern. Also, I've got quite keyed down here, as in low key, not a lot of direct light brightness. It builds up its intensity as it gets closer to the boots, and I feel like I've just got to build a little bit more intensity there to go from dull to bright to move you along, and then back to dull so you don't fall out of the picture. So I'm going to lighten that up a little there, put a piece of paper up there on the wall, add a bit of interest, and we'll see how we go. All right. And now just standing back and having a look, I reckon about here is the spot. So let's mix up a colour, titanium white. We'll use some of those greys and blues from earlier. We want to keep down. What colour am I going to do? It's got a slight blue-grey about it. Okay, so it'll come maybe about there somewhere. Just drift it in like so. And then we'll adjust there. Now I'll lighten the value a little bit with a bit more white. Yellow ochre. White and yellow ochre. Where the light's just catching in places. Maybe a little bit here. It's catching on the top. Go back to this lower key. Let's put that there, right. Okay, so that's got the light source. Now we'll go for a bit of shadow. So we'll go for some of these lower key colours that I mixed up earlier. How dark's the shadow going to be? Don't want to make it too dark, but we don't want it too light either, so. Just put her in there. Hang on. Drift it off. It gets softer as it goes out. Oops. This wet on wet, putting dark on top of light. I've already got the light background, you see, it's not as easy. With the tape, put a light here, there, maybe a twang of light where it's coming over the paper like that. Let me just have a look at what we got here. All right, well that seems to work. Lightening that little bit there, putting that there for some secondary interest. Now I just might get a little bit more refinement in the boots now, so I've gone to a little knife. We'll go for some whites and a little bit of the yellows. High key again, high key stuff. Alrighty. Just got to work out where. Just picking out some really fine details now. That'll help pull it together. That's pretty good. Just keep the bottom of that. That's a nice piece of detail. The outside edge of that, knife on the edge. Just pulling those bits up that are obvious, like so. Just take a suggestion of knots and grain in the timber through here. Really play up on that edge there where light meets dark. A bit on there. So I've got the tonal values of the bench top, but now I want to give it the feeling of timber. So even though I've got the light and dark, everything correct that way, now I want to get the character of the timber itself. So I'm just sticking a few extra grains, making that more obvious, right where this light meets dark, like I said. Imperfected, so it's got a few knots and twists and whatever else. And then when it comes to the boots, you try and get the quality of the leather. You've already got the tonal values, but now you want to get the quality of the leather itself. So you put those subtle glows and sheens and reflections. The old fur felt's quite keyed down. The hat, a little bit of stitching on the top, just a little bit of detail suggests something. On the whole, pretty happy with what's going on. Almost finished, I reckon. Don't want to do too much. It's about a feeling of light and a feeling and a presence of this rustic, iconic subject. Too much refinement might stiffen it up and lose something. There's something nice about the rugged quality of it. Put that in there. A little bit kicking around there too. And now I'll get that little knife. Just get that highlight, because I noticed that I just missed out on a bit of highlight here then. I just went over it. Knife on edge. Really clean mark there, because that's a focal point of the boot. There's a knife on edge. It's the finest bit of stitching sticking up there. All right, well, I reckon I'll leave it at that. I reckon I've got my big impression now. Pretty happy with what's going on. Really feel like I've captured the light and picked out the character of the different subjects. We've got the, like I was saying, the quality of the leather in the boots, the beautiful timber here, and so on and so on. Now, I've used tonal values, as you saw, to create the illusion of light and also to direct the viewer's eye through the painting by placing how much emphasis on certain things with the use of tonal values, light to dark. So over here we're starting in this side of the picture and everything's keyed down slightly, so all the values are brought closer together so they're not as dominating, and then they slowly build up and get further apart, lighter and darker, as it hits here and then again peters off. And it depends on how much intensity you bring up is how you can pull the eyes around. So for example, if I'd put too much intensity up here, with the light coming through the window, your eyes would have been drawn straight up there, or too much here, you'd get pulled into this corner. But by gradually gradiating it, you kind of lead your way through the picture. And then by lightening this tone in here, like you saw me do, and adding here and now a couple of cracks, it really does pull your eye up and through. So happy with that. Happy with the application. It's still very painterly and fresh. When I get the camera off, you'll be able to come in and have a look and see that. So it's still very much about paint, but at the same time it's very much about realism. Now, you saw these fine stitches and everything like that, gives the illusion of detail in this kind of fluffy, out of focus world. Just in the right areas to pull your eye in, not only to use the tonal values, but also just a little bit of refinement and just the edge of the boot, pick out the edge of the boot. What I've also done is the lightest lights and the darkest darks are here, but at the same time, to create that feeling of light and really bringing it out, I've actually put some of the reflected light coming back into the shadow. So it's bouncing off the bench, because this is where the bench is at its brightest. Excuse me. It's bouncing off the bench and back up and actually lighting the shadows up, which makes it feel brighter. So your eyes really get pulled in because it's bright light coming out of the picture. Happy with the idea of that? Is it a secondary subject that leads your eyes through? That's good. Hammer. On the whole, pretty happy with what's going on. Why don't we get that camera off now, come buzzing right in. You guys can have a look and see what you think. All right, thank you.